Good morning, everybody. We're going to go to the Chitas of the day. We are holding, today is Thursday. We are holding the portion of Shoftim, chapter 18, verse number 14. For those nations which you are to possess. They are all to diviners and to time people who look into the time, soothsayers, Yishmu, they all listen to this kind of stuff. But a Jew should not follow this. This is not what the Eibishter gave to you. What does that mean? What means that which God gave to you? To listen to the diviners, and to listen to these soothsayers. Why? Because the Shekhinah is present with the rest upon the prophets, and upon the Urim you have everything you need. You don't need to go to these people, these soothsayers of the nations of the world. You have it within the Jewish nation. You have Nevi'im, prophets, and great people. You have Torah. Why you need all this kind of stuff? And therefore, verse 15, prophets from amongst you, for your brothers, Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, like me, who's a Jew. God gave you prophets. I love to Shmuel, you should listen to a prophet. Rashi says this means, just as I amongst you, from your brothers, so will he set up for you another prophet. Instead of me, you'll be another prophet, and so on, from prophet to prophet. Verse 16. Everything that you've asked from God, your God, from the mountain of Chayris, the day that we assembled, saying, let me not continue to hear the voice of the Lord. You asked me to tell God that you don't want to hear the Eibishter from himself because he was dying. He died. And therefore, and we should not hear it and see this fire because we will die. So therefore, we want to hear it from Moshe Navi. And God said to me, they have done well what they have spoken, that they don't want to see. They want to hear it from you, or prophet. I will stand up a prophet from amongst your brothers, like you. I'll put my word in his mouth. Will speak to them as whenever I can. And there'll be anybody who doesn't listen to the words which I speak, in which he speaks in my name. I will exact him. I will take punishment from him. Verse 20. But God forbid if a prophet, that if a prophet's going to come to you and he's going to have a chutzpah, he'll be intentionally speaking a word of my name which I did not command to speak. He's going to come out with a navi sheker, false prophecy. If you're going to have a false prophet come within your midst, or Mesa Navi, he's going to start talking in the name of other gods, Mesa Navi, and that prophet should be put to death. Which I didn't command his fellow to speak. But even though his words coincide with Allah and Jewish law, forbidding what's forbidden or permitting what's permitting. But he's coming not in the name of God, he's coming in the name of another God. That's the way they got the Jews. They got the Jews involved because they said, we're coming in the name of God to worship other gods. And this prophet is killed by strangulation. 3 simple prophets are executed by man, by the court. One who prophesies when he's not been heard, one who prophesies what is not told to him, but was told to his fellow, and one who prophesies in the name of a pagan deity. However, one who suppresses his prophecy, does not announce it, or one who transgresses the word of the prophet, or a prophet who transgresses his own word of his prophecy, the death is in the hands of heaven. So that's where it says there's certain times where a prophet is put to death by the people, and there's certain times where a prophet is put to, you leave it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you leave it to God. Verse 21. Same you might say to yourself, how do I know the prophet speaking truth or not? This verse alludes to the future times when Israel will want to know which prophet is speaking the word of God. It means you are destined to say this when Anina, the son of Isaiah, a false prophet, came and prophesied. Behold, the vessels of the house of the Lord will be returned from Babylon now hastily. Jeremiah stood up and cried concerning the pillars, concerning the sea, and concerning the remainder of the vessels which have been exiled. They shall be brought to Babylon together with the exile of Zedekiah. So there was always sad things, sad part of Jewish history, that there was always false prophets. There was always those who took advantage and started and would prophesy falsely by the Jewish people. And that's the way it is. And they come and they do some miracles and they start telling people false situations. This Navi will tell you something and it will not happen. It will not come. This is something that the Eibishter had not commanded. He spoke willingly. He shall not be afraid of him. He's a false prophet. Rashi says, and say this thing is destined to happen to you. And you see afterwards that it doesn't come about. That the thing the Lord did not speak to execute him. But you might say this applies to one who prophesies regarding the future. However, suppose one comes and says, do such a thing and this thing and that thing. And I'm telling you the command of God. It doesn't say a prophecy. He doesn't say the future. Just tells people, do this, do that. I'm saying it in the name of God. Not saying anything that's going to happen in the future. How do we know whether he's speaking from? How do we know if he's speaking for the name of God? How do we know? So they already commanded if someone comes and tells you, I'm saying in the name of God, they should go against the Torah. Now you know it's a false prophet automatically. He doesn't have to prove anything or disprove anything. The second a prophet goes against the Torah, he is not a prophet. Do not hearken to him, unless they are certain that he's perfectly righteous person like Elijah the prophet, on Mount Carmel. Elijah told the Jews to bring a sacrifice on Mount Carmel, which was in Haifa. That was against the Torah because the Torah says you're not allowed to bring a sacrifice in the temple, the Beis Hamikdash in Yerushalayim. But there, Elijah the prophet said, I'm giving you a command for the moment that we need to do this right now to bring a sacrifice here to prove that God is God. And that's why it was allowed. And it was also by Elijah the prophet, who had a track record, so to say, to be a true holy Jew. So that's don't refrain yourself from advocating his guilt. The person who's prophesying is getting people to sin, don't protect him. And don't be afraid to punish him. Chapter 19, verse number 1. When God will cut off the nations with the land of the Lord, which God has given to you, the land of Israel. You will inherit it. And you're going to dwell in their cities, and their houses. Verse 2. You shall separate 3 cities for yourself in the midst of your land. This is called the cities of refuge. That a murderer, an unintentional murderer, can hide. And there was a city was called the city of refuge, the Adi Miklat, a city of refuge. So prepare the road for yourself, divide it in 3 parts to your boundary of the land, so that therefore every person should be in the proximity of you take the land of Israel, divide it in 3 parts, so everybody is equal to get to this city. Wherever you were in Israel, you were equally distanced from one of these cities. Ultimately, they added more cities. So the land which your God is given to you as an inheritance, and it will be for every person who kills somebody to run there. Miklat. It was a sign. So on the roads, there were a sign, like the sign that said, Miklat, run to this city of refuge. Each crossroad directing the way to the nearest city of refuge. And divided into 3 parts in the boundary of your land, so that the distance from the beginning of the border from the first refuge city would be the same, the distance from the first city to the second. And so from the second to the third, and from the third to the opposite of the land, the other side of Israel, which also had 3 cities. That's what I'd say. This is the laws of a murderer. Ashayana Shama, which will run there, and he would live. Ashayaka say we're talking about a person who killed somebody unintentionally. She doesn't hate him. It was an accidental murder. So an accidental murderer went to the city of refuge. Or a man who goes to, the Torah gives an analogy, a man who goes with his fellow into the forest to chop wood. And his hand swings the axe to cut down the tree. And he had a broken axe. And the barzel, the metal, fell off the axe, flew off the axe. And God forbid, it hit his friend who was with him, and he killed him. That's an unintentional. He should have made sure that the axe was not broken. So he took to begin with an axe. He didn't meant to kill the guy, but he shouldn't have had such an axe. He can run to one of these cities and live. Rashi says when he was about to let the axe fall on the tree, Tagir rather Tigivayodis, he was on his way downwards. So the guy was standing in front of him. He was then away downwards. And straight while letting the stroke of the axe fall upon the tree. And the iron flies off the handle. Some of our rabbis say that this means that the iron head of the axe slipped off its handle. Others say the axe chipped a splinter of wood of a tree which he was chopping, and a splinter flew and killed the person. So this is a whole Gemara and all these laws, exactly what means an unintentional murderer. These are very interesting laws in the Talmud, because you have this concept of the Goyal Adam. It's a very interesting concept in the Torah, that Penyid of Goyal Adam, let the avenger of the blood pursue the killer. Because a family member, in Torah law, if somebody gets murdered, a family member can kill the murderer, even an unintentional murderer. So the pursuer of the blood can chase after him, while his heart is hot, and it'll overtake him, because it's going to be a long way. So if you're not gonna divide the country, that every murderer, unintentional murderer, can get there, then the avenger of the blood will catch him. And but really, this person doesn't need to be put to death because it wasn't intentional murder. So this guy's gonna run after him and kill him, and then this guy also won't be punishable by death, because he also didn't. It was an aspect of his avenging the blood of his family. Therefore, I'm telling you to make sure to prepare a way, make sure the way to the Adi Miklat is very clear and a very good way, so that a murder, unintentional murder, can get there. If I'm telling you, separate 3 cities. And if the God makes your boundary bigger, as he promised your fathers, and I'll give you the entire land. As he swore to give you the land, the Canaanites, the Kenizzites, and the Kadmonites, so we're going to add the land. So then you'll add, as he's going to say in a moment, you'll add cities of refuge. Because you'll follow the commandments. To love God, to go in His ways, all the days of your life. You'll add more, another 3 cities of refuge. You'll add more, 3 more to the city that I've given you. So now we have 9 cities of refuge. 3 in Transjordan, which Moshe Rabbeinu already established. 3 Canaan, 3 of them in the land of Israel. And 3 of them that will expand it in later times, when the land will expand. The time of Mashiach. So the innocent blood will not be shed in the midst of your land, which the Lord your God gives you. And would deem you guilty to having shed this blood. So the Torah law, the Torah law, there was no jails in the Torah law. If somebody killed somebody intentionally, he was put to death, as you'll soon see in a moment. If somebody killed somebody unintentionally, he went to a city of refuge. So the city of refuge was a city of the Levium. The Levites lived in the city of refuge. So it was a regular city. It was an open city. He could leave the city, really. He's not locked in the city. But if he leaves the city, his blood is on his hand, because an avenger of the blood can kill him. So basically, he was stuck in the city. And the Torah tells us he was stuck in the city until the Kohen Gadol passed away. When the Kohen Gadol passed away, they were given their freedom. So they were stuck in the city for many years, whatever the years were. And that's what they did. So they were in the city, they lived in the city, the family lived with them, and they were business in the city, whatever they did, because they lived in a regular city. So it was not a jail. He was saying, and the Dafka in the city with Levium that was sat and learned Torah all day. So that's actually was the best place to recuperate from what they did, because even though they did it unintentionally, but they killed somebody. So they must have had something to work on themselves to rectify because of killing somebody even unintentionally. But verse 11, but if a man hates his fellow, and he lies in wait for him, and he rises up against him, he beats him up, he kills him. But mace, he dies. So he also can run to the city. He can run to the city before the court, because no jail. So what do you do with a guy who murdered somebody before the court case? So he would also go to the city. Then he brought him, as the Torah continues, brought him out of the city, he brought him to court, and if he was condemned, he killed him. Even you say today, Rashi says, through this man's hatred of his fellow, he comes to lie in wait for him. From here, our rabbis derive the maximum. If a man transgresses a minor commandment, he will ultimately transgress a major commandment. Here, since he transgressed the commandment, you shall not hate your brother in your heart, he ultimately came to shed blood. This is why our sages say, but if a man hates his fellow, for it should have written, if a man rises up and lies and waits for his fellow to strike him, but if a man hates his fellow, everything starts with hate. It was not, if he controlled his hate, he would never come to kill. But if he gets to the city of refuge, the elders of the city will go there. I mean, the elders of the city is usually over here means the court, and they'll take him from there. They'll judge him. They'll put him in the hands of the avenger of blood, and he will die. That's his punishment. I mean, because ultimately they will be first to kill him. Do not have pity on a murderer. You'll abolish the shedding of blood of innocent in the land of Israel, the Tovlach, and it'll be good. So here Rashi says something that we say, that people say today that are against capital punishment. And they say, you should not say the first person has already been killed. Why should we kill this one to cause two Jews to die? What are you gaining out of killing this one when the first one is dead already? So now you're just killing another one. So Rashi says the reason why we get rid of him, the Torah says, not because you're right. It's not because you tit for tat. It's because the guy has evil. It's not because, oh, we're taking revenge. Because that doesn't make sense. What kind of revenge is there? Your first one is dead, let's kill another one. You're right. Therefore, the Torah says, the reason why you're killing this person, the second person, the murderer, is not because just to revenge somebody's death. You're killing him because you need to eradicate evil. That a person can kill somebody, that shows he has the capability of such evil. And you need to get rid of evil from your midst. And that's the reason why. So don't get involved in the emotional issues of, whoa, it's not right, why are you killing for killing? And that's correct. You shouldn't kill somebody to revenge somebody else, because the person is not here anymore. So what are you gaining? That person is not gaining anything from you killing him, killing the second person, killing his killer. The reason is, you need to eradicate evil from your midst. And if you're not going to do that, you're not going to eradicate evil from your midst. And therefore, the person who kills is put to death not as revenge, but as a concept of eradicating evil. And that's why you're not going to have compassion on this person. Because the evil, he has done the ultimate act of evil that cannot be rectified. That completes the Chumash of the day. We're going to go to the Tanya of the day. The Alter Rebbe continues in the chapter 10, not chapter, the 10th letter of his. So the Alter Rebbe explains the power of tshuva. Start of tzedakah goes into the power of tshuva, and you'll soon see he connects it together. And because he says, power of tshuva, when a person repents, he has the capability to go higher than a regular kind of a service. Why? Because a regular service is basically within the realm of the vessels which God created. Every mitzvah has its vessel. Every oil, every light, every energy of God has a vessel, and that's the mitzvah. And we have a concept of something that comes from above the vessels, a light that is above a light that comes in vessels, a light that is sovev, an encompassing light. That light, how does one receive that light? How does one receive an energy that's above vessels? And that's through tshuva. Because when a person does tshuva, he breaks all his own boundaries. He goes above his own vessels. And therefore, he receives a light that's greater than lights that come into vessels. The general concept of chassidus, Kabbalah in general. So that's a concept of how do we be able to receive not only a light within nature, but a light that's above nature. And that's by going above one's own nature. Now, the essence of tshuva, penitence, is in the heart. For through, when a person regrets from the depths of his heart, he arouses a corresponding depth of ultimate degree in this supreme light. So that's the power of tshuva, because the tshuva, real tshuva that comes from the heart, comes from the essence of the person. Meaning a man's earnest penitence calls forth the above described superior spiritual light, which rectifies whatever he has lacking in the fulfillment of Torah mitzvah. That's why tshuva, tshuva not only does for now and on it's good. Tshuva actually fixes the negative of the past. Because tshuva reaches beyond vessels. How does one call forth this light that will radiate in the higher and lower worlds? How does one do that? So tshuva rectifies it, but how does one bring it down? Tshuva is in the heart. So how does one bring down that this light actually comes into the world? We need an actual arousal from below in the form of an action. How does one do that? If a guy wants to rectify his past, he has to do tshuva. But and then he brings about infuses a light that comes from above. But how does he actually bring it down in the physical world? How does he do an action that's above limitation? Every action you do has a limitation. Which action can you do that's above limitation? And that's tzedakah. Tzedakah is an action you can do that's above limitation. Because according to halacha, you should only give 1/5. But then a Jew can give more. Go above this limitation. You should do kindness and charity unlimited. Go above the limitation. So even though you figure out it's 1/5, give 1/6. Give 1/7. Give more. Go above the limitation. As we say, charity works till it hurts. Just as man dispenses an abundance of kindness, an infinite abundance of kindness. Peter's chas, Dallas, the first 2 letters of chesed. Chas is the meaning he pities, and Dalid is the poor. Chas, he pities. And the last letter spelling meaning Aramaic, he who has not. Implying that he dispenses his kindness to a person, the less than Megameklum, to an utterly destitute individual who does not have anything on his own. Without setting a limit or a measure to his giving in the future. So to the Eibishter will diffuse to him a light and a chesed that has no limitations. Nikarav chesed, which is called abundance of kindness. Which will shine infinitely without limit or measure. Within the upper and lower worlds. Which all the worlds are poor to God. They're all lacking to God. The less the all the worlds have nothing of their own. Everything's nothing to God. So through the acts of charity, that when a Jew does charity, believable, he goes beyond his limitation. There he has the capability of doing a mitzvah unlimited. And a mitzvah brings God down into the world. And that's how we rectify everything. Through that mitzvah of charity. So since all creation is of no account in the eyes of God, anything received from his hand is not deserved by gratitude, is not deserved, but a gracious gift, as indeed the very fact that the mortal endeavors are able to draw down divine light. At any rate, boundless tzedakah and kindness draw down a degree of divine radiance that transcends all worlds. And through the acts of charity, where a person goes above his limitation, he fixed everything, all his worlds, all the negative that he done in the world. Whatever, any pagam, any sin that affected the world in a negative way, through his acts of charity in an unlimited way, fixes everything from top to bottom. One, God prefers tzedakah and justice over even a sacrifice. Because a carbon, even a carbon, has its time, its place, its hour, its even its age. A carbon has its limitation. Tzedakah has tzedakah. You can do unlimited. Tzedakah, you can dispense beligvul. You can dispense charity, even though again there is in the Jewish law says well, but that's the obligation. That's the limit. But a person, it's his money. He can mefazit it. He can dispense it without limitations. Legal sakana, which will rectify his sins. Going back, we have a halacha. Are you going to open up Shulchan Aruch? And the code of Jewish law, it's going to say openly, if somebody gives tzedakah, you shouldn't give more than 1/5. That's only haynadafke mishlei chata. That's only if you haven't sinned. Or you fixed your sins through pain and suffering. So if you fix this thing through pain and fasting and suffering, then you only give 1/5. Because that's the way. That's the other way. The way I fix my sins is I have to go through pain. I have to fast, as we mentioned in the Tanya. How many fast for every sin? You want to go that way? Fine. So you have there's 3 options. One option is don't sin. Second option, if you sin, go fast 64 tanesim for each sin, etc., etc. As we learned in the Gemara, as Alter Rebbe brought it in Tanya before. How about me? But if you haven't done that, and now you have sinned, you have baggage. Shita, it's simple. The like God of the first name shows a goes. And just like when it comes to your physical life, you don't have a budget. Nobody has a budget when it comes to the physical life. If the doctor is going to tell them to save your life, you need X amount of money, he's going to go get the money. They're going to say, wait a second, it's not on my budget. I've only budgeted 1/5 this year for my health. You're not going to do that. Every person's going to make sure to get the money because he's sick. So what is the difference of spiritual sickness or physical sickness? Why a physical sickness, you're ready to give all your money? And when it comes to spiritual sickness, no, only 1/5. Money doesn't count. So if money doesn't count to my physical life, why suddenly does money count to my spiritual life? Shouldn't count. So therefore, if I have sinned, so I am sick spiritually, and I want to get healing for my spiritual sickness, which is affecting me ultimately physically, money doesn't count. I'll give more than 1/5. Therefore, the Titus verse says, whatever man has, he should give for his behalf of his soul. How we end this letter of the Alter Rebbe. The simple meaning of the verse is that when a person will forgo his wealth in order to save his life, however, since the world says soul is used rather than life, because nafshe is physical. We always say a person gives we always translate nafshe as your physical life, but it doesn't mean nafshe means your soul. When we understand the meaning that a person will give everything in order to have saved and rectify his neshama. Don't be cheap. I shouldn't be cheap on my soul. Rectification of my soul. And that completes the Tanya of the day. Today, my friends, is the 4th day of the month. It starts on chapter 23, 24, 25, and 26, 27, 28. So 23 to 28 is the chapters of the day. And today is also the 3 chapters are 10, 11, and 12. 10, 11, and 12. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. And Mitchell, today at 10 o'clock, we're going to have a beautiful teaching of the Rebbe on the portion of the week. 10 a.m., either at Chabad or on Facebook/Torah Direct. Have a wonderful, beautiful.
You want to try the shofar?
I don't have it with me. I'll do it after the class.
Okay, I guess I'll have to find it a different way then, Rabbi, because I won't be at the class. I'm going to be off to New Jersey.
Okay, no problem. You can listen to it on Facebook. It's on my Facebook today in the morning.
Okay.
I have a shofar. Karen wants me to do it.
No problem. Don't do it. Blow it for her.
You'll leave it on? Leave on the Zoom for a second.
Okay.